So, uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the GST session as part of the Industry Connect series. I'm Abhineet Sinha, and along with me is Shilpita, who would be your host for this session. We have two distinguished industry experts here with us today, Mr. Chandra Sekhar Sarmah and Mr. Ananya Nagar, who have rich and diverse experience in the domain of product management and would be guiding us on how to break into product management. Allow me to introduce the two speakers. Mr. Chandra Sekhar Sarmah is a product leader with 18 years of experience in building, scaling, and managing products for Fortune 500 companies. In his current role as Senior Director of Product Management at ADP, he is responsible for heading a portfolio of upmarket products and building an empowered and self-sufficient product team. Prior to ADP, he has worked with companies like NCR Corporation, Adobe, Avaya, and LSI, where he has managed B2B hardware and software product. He holds a BTech from NIT Silchar and an MBA from ISB Hyderabad. Second, we have Mr. Ananya Nagar, who is a product manager with a decade-long experience in product development, product management, and project management across various sectors like automobile, financial services, banking, and human capital management. He has led multi-million-dollar digital transformation initiative in human capital management during his tenure at ADP. In his previous role, he has worked as a chief of staff to CHRO at TIAA, managing the business of HR operation and HR technology transformation. He has also worked as a platform leader at Bajaj Auto, managing a portfolio of flagship motorcycle brands. Ananya holds a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from NIT Allahabad and is an alumnus of XLRI Jamshedpur. We're really glad to have both of you here with us today, sir. We have a lot of candidates in this diverse cohort who aspire to have a career in product management, and we are looking forward in getting enriched with your knowledge on how to break into product management. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Chandra Sekhar, sir.
Thank you, Abhineet. Ananya, do you want to share your screen and we can get started?
Yep, sure. Abhineet, if you can give us a cheer when you're able to see the screen.
Yes, sir, we are able to see the screen, sir.
Okay, so as you said, Abhineet, without much ado, we'll get started and with this session. So hello and welcome everyone. As you know, thank you Abhineet for that lovely introduction. You are very kind and those words were really great. So thank you so much. And as Abhineet shared, I am from XLRI, same course, PGDM GM, the batch of 2018. And have been working since then with ADP and had a short stint with TIAA. Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining in for this session of Breaking into Product Management. I have with me Chandra Sarmah, who is the Senior Director of Product Management at ADP. And today, we'll be taking you through this journey of breaking into product management. I didn't know that Abhineet would be very kind for sharing those introductions. So this slide was in our deck. Abhineet, thank you for sharing that. But Chandra, if you want to talk about yourself just quickly.
Yeah, thanks Abhineet for the kind introduction, and thank you, Ananya. I think you pretty much covered what we had on the slide. So the only thing probably you didn't cover is I'm a father of a 7-year-old daughter, so she keeps me busy outside of work. I don't have to look for hobbies and so on. And I think across all the companies that I've worked for, two things which have been common is building products and building teams. So that's what I do for a living today. So that's pretty much it. Ananya, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chandra. And Abhineet, again, very kind of you. Everything on this slide, Abhineet covered. Only thing is, lockdown has been very kind to me. I traveled over 25,000 kilometers across the country, and that too on road, covering more than 35 cities. Traveled from Rajasthan, Jaisalmer to Arunachal to Leh, Himachal, and then the coast of Konkan and Goa. So have been traveling, and Fun fact, today also over the weekend, I drove from Hyderabad to Mumbai and taking this session out of Mumbai. So it's a 700-kilometer drive. Onward journey again from Mumbai to Lucknow. That would be over the course of next 2 days. So that's my love for traveling. Great, guys. So kicking it off, what we'll be doing in the next 90 minutes. What is product management? Not going by the books, but taking you through my own journey and my reflections and learnings throughout this journey and what I got out of it as the key traits of product management. Who is a product manager? What does a product manager do? What are the what is a typical day in life of a product manager looks like? What is their time distribution across different stream of works that they handle? And then essentially spending a good amount of time on breaking into product management. With me, I have Chandra, who will be talking about more into ADP product management as a discipline and also the opportunities at hand. There will be 2 logical breaks in the session. One after the slide 10, when I'll be done by talking about my own journey and the learnings into product management. And then, of course, at the end of the slide where we can take all the questions that you have. Of course, it goes unsaid. You can utilize the chat option for pouring in your questions, and we will try our best to take as many questions as possible. So it would be largely an even split between the deck that we've prepared, close to 45-50 odd minutes. And then rest of the 45 odd minutes would be around the questionnaire. So let's get going. Fasten your seat belts. Let's take off into the world of product management. But before that, we have a quick quiz. I would request all of you all to log into slido.com. It's a tool which we often use, and then enter the code which is on your screen right now. That's 287-5943. 287-5943. You can enter that code in the space 287-5943. And the first question should be up on your screen. What does ADP do as a company? So I know this question probably people would know, but then let's pour in the responses. I see 17 people already responded. Let's have some more responses. We'll wait for another 30 seconds for this question. $23. Okay, not bad. 29 odd responses. Anyone wants to unmute and share the answer before I do?
Human capital management.
Was that Akshay?
Yes.
That is correct. It's human capital management. So we as a company are in the space of human capital management, delivering products right from hire to retire for the employees and organizations, of course. The next one up on your screen, what stream of education one needs to be in to get into product management? As fancy as it may seem, but what is the real education that you need to get into product management? Do we have one, or it can be any stream? So yeah, quick responses. Great. Anyone else who wants to unmute and answer here?
Any stream.
Is it any stream?
Although it's any stream, I would like to add that psychology of customer also plays a great factor.
Okay. Yes, the answer is any stream. That's correct. We need not belong to engineering, stats, psychology. The pulse of the product depends on how you perceive it and how you understand the product, right? Next one, which of the following represents the end-to-end experience the user goes through? Okay, 34 odd responses. Yeah. Again, following the rule, anybody who wants to share, what's it called?
User journey.
Anybody else?
Is it experience?
So the fact is, Chandra did not disclose these answers to me. So I'll also lean on Chandra to reveal what exactly is the answer, because I am also very new here.
Yeah, user journey is the right answer.
Yep, that's the correct answer. Okay, with that fun part of the quiz, I hope we are back to the slides. Abhineet, are you able to see the slide which says pop quiz?
Yes, Ananya, yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, that was a quick warm up with the 3 questions. And I hope that helps us break the ice. So now coming to the main agenda of the day, breaking into product management. And you must be wondering why this slide. Today, I'll not be talking about what regular Google ideas of product management are, right? You are the mini CEO of the product. Product management lies at the intersection of user experience, technology, and business. I know, a quick check on the Google, and you'll get hundreds of resources to learn what is product management. We all have our own journeys, and we all write our own stories day in and day out. And today, I know that learning through my journey, my reflections, and how did I break into product management would be the way forward that I'll be taking this session. And then, hence, this slide is called Connecting the Dots. The dots which are dispersed throughout my journey, my childhood, engineering, then back to school at XLRI, and what happened at ADP. This would be my way of taking you through what is product management. Chapter 1, all the world's a stage. You must have heard about this, but why beginning with this slide? Since childhood, I was always interested into theater and drama. And at very early stages into my life, I started acting. Lesser did I know then that it would teach me some of the very essential learnings of product management. And what is it? Storytelling. The nuances of tonality and the expressions that you use change the meaning of a dialogue in its entirety. The way you communicate your story, the way you connect with your audience is the single most important thing while you are conveying your story. Doing the right pauses, giving the audience an opportunity to appreciate your act, laid the foundations of storytelling in me. As a product manager, you really need to be a great storyteller, because you not only connect with the frontline associates who are delivering work day in and day out, but also you need to go back to the senior leadership or the executive leadership to tell in your own stories through demos and presentations. So this chapter is all about storytelling and how we need to connect from the ranks to the top management. The next slide, which is called the chapter 2, is about my journey in BTech, Kalrav, and more. Kalrav was the annual cultural festival of NIT Allahabad, where I was the general secretary in the year 2012. During this exercise of organizing this festival end to end, I got to learn how to work with my peers and my juniors to pull off events of such a great scale and doing it without authority. In product management world, we often deal. Sorry, was there a question? Abhineet, can you request for, okay. So I was talking about in product management, we often deal with hierarchical challenges as no one directly reports to you, but the success and failure of a product is attributed to the work that you do. One of my key learnings while doing these festivals at my college was when you need your team to work, what is the best way to do it? Displaying it in action. When you want to make your team work, lead by example. Do it yourself, lead from the front. And when you do so, by articulating your vision and rallying the entire team on an overarching objective, which is for the greater good and the larger benefit beyond personal interest, everybody would work towards it. Key feature or the key trait that I'm talking about in this slide as a product manager, most of the time you will be influencing your people, the stakeholders, the managers, the executive leadership, developers, designers around, and doing that without authority. You will be the most influential person guiding the stakeholders to make the right decisions for the betterment of the product. So leading without authority and leadership is what is this chapter all about. I know this seems like out of place, but the chapter 3 is called Dandvate Kaka and the Broken Auto. If someone was listening into the introduction that Abhineet shared, I worked with Bajaj Auto, and that too in a very challenging space, which is the three-wheeler market. After graduating from NIT, I joined Bajaj in the Research and Development Center. And the first 3 months was about getting to interact with the customers and doing a stint with the service. I so vividly remember this instance when I was working with a dealership in Bajaj, Aurangabad. There was a person in utter despair, going from one desk to another and inquiring about his auto, which was lying in the service bay for the last 4 days. He was almost in tears when I went to him and asked what happened. The person's name was Dandvate Kaka. And I did not know till then what is bothering him so much that he's struggling with servicing of one auto. I remember in broken Marathi, he told me that each day, every single day, this auto is staying in your service bay and is not getting to me. It is a loss of food for his family. Lesser did I know before that how to understand and empathize with the real pain of the customer. It was then when I realized that how important it is to get speed in service for such products. And you really need to know the real pain behind your customer so that you are perfectly enabled to design the right product for them. All about empathy, moving on to obsession with quality. Delivering first-time right products is what I learned from Bajaj. Bajaj has an obsession on quality because they are guided by principles of Japanese in quality management. And few of my manufacturing folks on the call must be knowing the buzzwords of Kaizen, Pokayoke, and Mura, and all of that, right? Those were the tools which helped me understand how important it is to get quality to the market. And why I am talking about it. As product managers, often what happens is we are so engrossed and focused in delivering the speed to market that we lose sight about quality to market. And why quality to market is important? Because this is the dollar that you will eventually invest into real innovation, which otherwise goes into maintenance of the products and ensuring reliability of the products. So as you go to the market with a new product, new feature, you need to ensure that it is first time right and ensure that it is of the highest quality. Moving on to chapter 4, and I need a cheer from the crowd because this is the chapter which you all are going through right now. Life at XLRI. Why is this journey important? Each one of you here would relate to. Some of the pictures here are from my, or rather all of the pictures are here from my convocation. And you know why we can't share rest of the pictures, right? There are other pictures, but these are the ones from my convocation, and it is not just GMP batch. I have folks from HRM in the picture. I have folks from the business management, and we all shared a great bond. You must be wondering, why am I talking about creating bonds and friendship? This is the time right now on this call, everybody who is sitting on this call right now from the batch of GMP, in the next decade, each one of you would be leading one or the other business vertical. These are the people of tomorrow. These are the leaders of tomorrow and the change agents who will create a difference in the entire corporate world. Knowing these people at this juncture of life is the most important thing that you should invest in. People call it networking, and I call it friendship. Invest in people. Take your time. Invest in creating relationships. And then you will see that these people right now will be the ones who will be carving out your journey for the next phase to come. As a product manager, you really need to network with the right people, right set of people, knowing their competencies, the work they do, and how they deliver this work. And often you know that you are lost in the hierarchical challenges. You are lost in the entire organization that how should I get this work done? But when you network with the right people, you connect with the right people, you know how to get things done. And that is a key feature for everybody who aspires to become a product leader. The next learning is about prioritization. Amongst several things that we do day in and day out, submissions, strategy classes by Indrajit sir, or then prepping up for your case presentations, going to classes, doing assignments. The only thing that we learn largely from there is how to prioritize, which is another key trait that a product manager needs to do. Every day, we need to make decisions around what to do, what not to do, what can be done, what needs to be done, what must be done. And this is largely learned through this journey that you are going through right now, of prioritizing the right thing at the right moment and doing the right things. So the two learnings here are A, networking, and B, prioritization. The last chapter, chapter 5, which I call the curtain call. This photograph is very recent, and I'll come back to this later. But before that, I need to talk about my journey of moving from XLRI to ADP. I joined ADP right out of college and worked with the service people in the operations space, where I was responsible for managing payroll operations. Little did I know before interviewing for this company that what does this company exactly do? And I had to actually Google what does ADP do? When I landed up in this job, initially it was an entirely new industry for me, entirely new domain. I was designing motorcycles and somebody told me that we have a company which designs products into payroll. It was so different for me. But the most important part that came to my rescue was my curiosity. As product managers, you really need to be curious. You need to ask the right questions to the right people at the right time. And do not shy away, even if a question is stupid, right? You might be feeling that, hey, should I go ahead and ask this question to Chandra? But then the fact is that you really need to ask the question, at least what best would happen. If it is not a good question, you'll get to know one less way of failing, right? Product managers are designed to be iterative. They have a product sense, which makes them test, fail, repeat. And that is the journey we all live in every day in product management. During my stint with operations, I got a great opportunity to work with Chandra in very close quarters and work for this digital transformation initiative, which I shared in my introduction. It was during this time I understood the value of learning from the peers and understanding how to really solve problems which associates and our clients face every day. Working with them, in the product space, designing those solutions and seeing them live in action was the most important part of my journey. And everything culminated to this one picture here on your screen. This is from our event, ADP India Annual Day, which was recently conducted in Pune. We all were invited because our team won the most innovative idea award out of, say, 65,000 odd associates who are there at ADP. It was a global level competition. And what did I learn from here? This was essentially a crash course in product management. A 4-month journey, starting from a phone call to my manager, who is right now on this call, sipping a cup of coffee, and telling him about my own idea. It is so simple. I picked up my phone, I called Chandra that this is my idea and I need to go and work towards it. And then started a journey which was all about product management, developing business case, what are your success metrics, how to build a product, doing discovery around the user experience and the user research, creating presentations for executive consumption because everybody on that board who was judging us were executives, and then actually presenting to the executive leadership of ADP and bagging the most innovative idea. Often it is said that innovation is through chaos, but our learning from this journey was structured innovation. When you are doing innovation, not necessarily means that you need to be chaotic. Of course, chaos works at times, but then you really need to think in a structured manner when you are running behind delivering products in a very short timeline. So the three key learnings from this journey is curiosity, problem solving, and innovation. I know I have been talking a lot from last 15 or maybe 20 odd minutes. I didn't keep a track, and Abhineet, please check on me if I'm running out of time. But then this slide, I'm very sure that everybody must have seen this movie. It's called Pursuit of Happiness. Will Smith says that I'm not what happened to me. I'm what I choose to become. Essentially, what happened to me was so many different things, but I choose to be in the field which I am right now, working as a product manager with ADP. With this 20-minute monologue from my side, what I really wanted to talk is not all superheroes wear capes. Some have a broomstick and a bucket too. And what are your real superpowers, which I talked through all these slides so far? Curiosity, empathy, problem solving, communication, stakeholder manager, prioritization, leadership, storytelling, and eventually making the right decisions. So with that being said, I'll pause here for a moment. As I told you that this would be the first pause in our session where we will be taking the first round of questions.
Thank you for that insight. If there are any questions at this point of time, so you can raise your hand, we will take it.
Anybody on the call has any questions so far? Any comments, any clarifications? Okay, I see a hand. Prateek needs to ask a question. That's right, Prateek?
Yeah. Hi, Nagarana. So my question was, were you given the product of portfolio management or payroll management, sorry, the payroll management, or were you, did you choose to work on this product, as you said, you told your manager that I got this idea and let's work on it. So were you given that liberty to work on that, or did you were forced to work on that? That was my question.
So Prateek, what I was referring to, obviously not in my real everyday work. You don't get to choose what you do, right? You really need to be in the space where you embrace every opportunity that comes your way and deliver the best out of it. What I was talking about is going back to my manager with an idea that I had for Global Hackathon. So I was thinking, how would I put it? I had so much energy that I was thinking in many directions simultaneously. What helped me going to him was give me direction and channelize my energy towards creating a solution which would be important for the market, which would be a really important change or would be an innovation in this space. So to answer your question, everyday work, I don't choose to actually choose what I work for, but yeah, there are opportunities which you can embrace always to do the right thing. Hope that answers. But with that being said, Chandra, if you are there on the call, can I get to choose what I work for?
Yeah, I think there are going to be some boundary conditions with every role, right? It doesn't. I think even a very senior executive, there are going to be some boundary conditions, but whether you get to actually come up with ideas within the purview of the product and capabilities you may be managing as a product manager, yes, the answer is yes. So you may want to identify the problem that you want to solve out of the many problems you may have with your product. Of course, it needs to be based on whether it's going to be beneficial to the users, to the business, and so on. But you certainly can come up with ideas within the purview of your role.
Okay,
Bharat,
Abhinit, do
you
you
can go
want to
next.
curate? Yeah,
Yes,
someone.
yes, please. Yeah, Bharat, you can go next, please.
Okay. So I had one particular question regarding how important and different are functional and technical broadman roles compared to the product engineer in terms of leverage they have. As in, you added that with every role, there are limitations that come in. So there are certain organizations that have different roles defined, while some have all of it consolidated into one single role. So do you think anywhere we are losing out on quality of a product based on a firm's decision or the structure that we have in?
Chandra, do you want to take that question, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Bharat, if I completely follow the question. Is your question about how do the companies come up with different structures for product management role?
Kind of, yes, because a certain company, they have only one product manager role. There are certain companies that differentiate them into functional, technical, and there are different product engineers. So, as in, if you keep on adding more and more roles, there are chances that different ideas come in. They may or may not be suitable for a product, because we are looking into it from different dimensions. If there's one single guy, then again there's a drawback that only one idea comes in and he gets to take the decision. So do you think somewhere we are sacrificing the quality of a product in either of these cases?
I think it is a very it really depends on the context. I think what you're trying to refer to are situations with companies where they may have very engineering facing product manager and they have a business facing product manager. Traditionally, we have seen that kind of arrangement happen with, let's say, very large products. It could be products on the supply chain management. It could be products on ERP side of things. It could be products on customer relationship management and so on. I think the key on how organizations decide on whether they want to split the roles based on whether it's customer facing versus engineering facing, or they try to vertically slice the role. It all depends on the complexity of the domain and the complexity of the product itself. If it takes years and years to understand the domain, and the expectation from the product manager is to have technical expertise, then I think we need to invest, we need to give that person enough time to do well in that role, and which is where that person ends up becoming a engineering facing product manager. If the industry needs that, the product manager needs to spend a lot of time with the customers, and you let the micro level requirements be driven by the engineering team, maybe that product manager becomes more customer facing. So it really depends on the context in which you're working. And also, I also feel that there is some aspect of maturity of the product organization. Traditionally, when most of the companies who started product management organization, they have started with the agile transformation. They started with the concept of a product owner within the Scrum team. That's where most of the companies start. And in the early stages of companies in the maturity curve, they would traditionally start with a product owner who is more engineering facing, but there is a business product manager who is probably more client facing. But as they go through the maturity curve, I think somewhere both the roles come together, and that's where it becomes a vertically sliced role.
I agree with I agree with everything that you said. My reasoning behind the question was, at the time when someone is pitching for a prod man role, if it's functional, they might look it from functional perspective. They might not have as much technical acumen as they may need later in their role. So that was one of the reasons. If one is looking at a wholesome view, so in a nutshell, he should have everything that's possible for a prod man to look into in the long run.
Yeah, I think you should, if you're a person who is trying to get into product management, you still need an entry point, right? For folks who come from computer science or information technology or something closer, when it comes to software products, the entry point is more from a technology perspective. When it comes to, let's say, products in supply chain domain, and if you're from supply chain or operations domain, that could be the entry point. So you probably will enter with one strong area, but yes, over a period of time, you need to build muscle and energy across all the other areas as well.
Thanks a lot for your descriptive answer.
And Bharat, to add to that, when I was starting my product management journey, I also had similar questions, because I come from a background of say non-computer science, right? I have not done software, but I think what is most important that Chandra said, that you need to be an expert in one of the three areas, right? Either business, tech, or user experience, and then you can build the rest of the trades. Yeah, we had some other questions, right?
Avinash, you can go next.
Yeah, thanks, Abhinit. Hi, Ananya. That was some really great storytelling that we have witnessed for the past 15-20 minutes. So, from your story, that what I could relate is that you began as an automobile engineer, and later, after XLRI, you went into ADP as a into operations, right?
That's correct.
And you later transitioned into product. So, what led you to transition into a product role, and like how has the transition been? Can you tell something about that?
Yeah, that would be really interesting, because the two people who are here on the call are the ones who made it possible, and I think Chandra is the one here. So I would tell you about my transition, and I think I talked about it in my last slide also. I joined as an operations guy in the payroll space. The first piece was understanding the business. When I was doing that, I was able to interact with so many people across the board who were doing payroll day in and day out. I know it might just not strike a chord, but I want to talk about it. Payroll as we perceive from an Indian market is a fairly simple thing, right? We can do payroll and taxation on an Excel. But US market payroll is very complex. It has its own nuances. It has its own detailing around the type of taxation they do, right? So my first thing was learn what this industry is all about. So I tried to amalgamate all the learning that I could do, from running payrolls to sitting besides the associate, doing a side by side, and learning that detail around the business that was happening. So from there, I moved into a role which was called as digital transformation champion role for the same business, where I was responsible for partnering with the product team as a business SME, as a subject matter expert on the business, to develop these solutions which would enhance the experience for our associates who are delivering the work from the operation side, and also the clients. So I will be talking about this in our future slides, but the key transition element was getting into a product adjacent role and then developing the skill set to become a product manager. So I know this was my interaction with Chandra when I was eyeing for a product manager role. I reached out to him and I asked, and I'm just relating it to the last question also, that I was very nervous. I didn't know whether I really have the skill set to be a product manager because, hey, I don't come from a software background. But what really needs to be is you need to know the business, how the business is running, and you really need to understand technology. Understanding technology doesn't mean that you are required to code or you need to understand the entire every single line of code. No, I am managing APIs as of today in ADP. But if you ask me 6 months back, how did API work? I didn't have a clue about it. For me, API was probably something which was happening in the background. I didn't know the flows. But today I am detailing requirements for new APIs which would take shape in the future products of ADP. So you need to be an expert, or rather a master of one of the aspects, either business or tech or user experience, or understanding the user journeys, or understanding the pain point market. There may be so many things, but over a period of time, you need to develop that taste or that flavor of overall product sense. Hope that helped you,
Sure,
Avinash.
sure. That answers my question. Thank you.
Cheers, man. Yeah. So Abhineet, just being cognizant of time, I think we are at 2:45, right?
Yes, and everyone, the entire cohort is really enjoying your engaging storytelling. I think we would like to continue that. Learn more.
Thank you so much, Abhineet. Thank you so much. And I think it's really important, and I know I remember that I had a call with Imran, who was coordinating this for us, like an hour before. I was like, man, I need to take a break between the session. And he was like, this generally doesn't happen. We always have questions at the end of the session. I was like, if we can manage it, I think it would be a good segue into our next segment. So I hope this helps everyone. Before we move on, last check, Abhineet, do we have any raised hands in the audience, or can we take them at the end of the session?
Not at the moment. I think we will take the remaining part at the end of the session, sir.
Sure, Abhineet. Thanks. Great. Then moving on. Now going by the books, lot of storytelling, lot of personal journey. But now talking about codename PM, we all are agents and we are dressed in black. So this shirt has a story in itself. I am wearing black because I feel that I'm a secret agent, but nothing like that. On a lighter note, on a more serious note, I would say, who is a product manager? And I have talked about it, just putting it out here so that we have a read and we really know what a product manager does. He solves real user and customer problems. Remember Dandavati Kaka? I was not trying to solve for a broken auto, but was trying to solve for the thing that he was not able to feed his family. Turning ideas into life. Hackathon. Started from a phone call, winning the most innovative idea. You need to be structured while doing innovation. You need to conduct workshops. You need to understand the user journey points. You need to talk to your users, the end users who will be actually using your product. Creating impact for users and customers. and I know you all are going through this journey, right? We generally do not understand pre-MBA that what is the difference between a user and a customer, right? The customer who buys, user who actually uses your product, right? So you need to create value and impact for the users and your customers. And while doing so, driving business value for the overall organization. So connect everything to driving business value in general. Product managers are born owners. They take ownership. They lead from the front. They go out and get things done. They are the natural problem solvers. And again, going back to innovation, product managers need to be thought leaders. You have to challenge the status quo. You need to talk about path-breaking ideas. You need to challenge what every day you are seeing into, right? Before actually developing a product, you need to ideate it, iterate it in your brain. And that is what a thought leader does. When I entered payroll, I didn't know much about it. But the question I had was, why is this step, why are we taking screenshots here? Why is an Excel introduced here? Can't we do this in a different way? That is the sense that you need to have as a product owner or a product manager. And of course, detail. You need to get into the details while doing so. Asking the right questions, documenting it, detailing it out, asking another set of follow-up questions so that you have a detailed understanding of the problem that you are solving for. The right-hand side of the slide is more about what we as ADP look into product managers. And these are our 5 main pillars. Customer obsession. Customer obsession, you really need to keep your customer at the center of everything that you are doing. You need to solve for that customer and understand their pain point, empathize with them, and solve for their need. Customer obsession doesn't mean that you go out and interact with every customer out there. No, you need to solve for the most important persona of your customer and their real important pain point that they are suffering from. Market expertise. Product managers need to know about what is going in the market. What are the latest technologies? How is my competitor doing? What is my latest competitor offering? Am I doing well in all the aspects of as compared to my competitor? These are the attributes that make you a market expert. You need to know, have a sense what is happening in the market in general, as well as being abreast with the upcoming technology changes in the world. So you need to be a market expert. Builder, the one who builds. We directly do not code, but the end product, as I told, the success and failure of the product, the packaged box with a bow, is what we are responsible for. We are the real builders, and we ensure that things are delivered right on time, every time. Being outcome focused as well as being influencer. I talked about it in my previous slides also. You need to influence the right people. And not only seniors, not only your managers, not only senior leadership. You need to influence your own developers to make the right decisions. I remember a story recently. There was a leadership summit that we were having in ADP, and there was a talk around FinOps. I, as a product manager, did not know about FinOps. This is a new thing for me. It is all about knowing the right data set. And I was so intrigued by the fact that, hey, I can use this thought to actually make my product better and can be used as a data set for influencing the decision making. So you really need to know the right data points. You really need to present it right, in the right way, to the right audience, and influence their decisions in the right directions. So with that being said, moving on to the next slide, Dilbert says, and I know, just Google it up, 10 best memes for product managers and you'll get this. I really like this. You'll get more. I added all of the features, product features that you demanded me. Now our product is worthless hodgepodge of complexity. I appreciate your input because I could not have failed without you. What does this cartoon talk about? You will get so many inputs. You will get so many inputs from so many directions, right? From sales to marketing to designers to engineers. This can be done, this can't be done. The classic fight between the design, the user experience people and the engineering people. And in the middle sits the product manager whose two hands are pulled into two directions. You're just about to tear apart from the middle, but then you have to take them together and create a product that creates value for our customers. You need to know when to prioritize, what to prioritize. There are many techniques and I'll not be talking about those techniques, but I want to leave each one of you with the thought that prioritization as a product manager is a key skill. And how to do that prioritization? There are a number of techniques. Developing that mindset while you are doing it in XLRI, you need to know, you need to know how to prioritize and when to prioritize. So with this cartoon, I really wanted to talk about if everybody tells you everything, so the product is not a hit. So you can't do everything in one product at one go. You really need to choose and strike a fine balance between what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. Okay, the big question of the day, what does a PM do? And this is typically what I do. And I try to put it on the right hand side. This is PM timesheet, I call it. Around 50% of the time, we are into product planning, requirements, collaborating with design and engineering. What does product planning mean is planning your work to the extent of tying it back from the product vision and getting it to the level of designing incremental work that would be delivered in each block that goes to our customers. Gathering the requirements from different stakeholders and communicating it to both the design and engineering team to develop what is required for the market. So this is largely, I can talk about user stories, I can talk about epics, features, and all the buzzwords in the market, but essentially it takes around 50% of our time doing that. About 20% of the work is doing customer interactions and market research. And when I talk about customer interactions, I'm handling a team of defects here at ADP. And I get an opportunity to know what is the current problem for my customer. I go back to my customer and talk to them what is their real pain point, because at times they do not know how to articulate the real problem that they are facing. So somebody would say that this report is not downloading. That cannot be the real problem. You need to go back, talk to the customer, dive deeper into the issue and understand what is the real problem. Is he really not able to download that file, or does he need a dashboard or a feature that can enable notifications for him? So those interactions help me craft solutions for tomorrow. You really need to be close to the customer as a product manager always. And typically after that, it's an equal split, about 10% each dedicated to, say, executive presentations and demos, where we are demoing whatever we have developed as a team to our executives, taking their questions, collaborating with different cross-functional teams, going back to them, getting their sign-offs, implementing what is there. And largely 10% of work is around team engagement, management, coaching, and mentoring. 5 key responsibilities as a product manager are identifying market opportunities, defining the product strategy and roadmap, product delivery, and growth, ensuring growth and portfolio management. So, Abhineet, just a quick check on time. How are we doing against time?
No, I think we do still have time. I think we can continue.
Great. So last couple of slides where I wanted to talk about the current landscape in the product management space and how can we break into product management. So this slide is essentially a quick churn of numbers. 1:10 is a typical ratio of developer of product manager to developer in a large sized organization. Typically we have 3% product managers when I take a number against the entire strength of an organization. It's the 4th most liked job in the United States. And I'm sure that it would be faring around same in XLRI right now also. So if not the top, but at least in the top 5 most aspired jobs for. Essentially in this slide, I wanted to tell you, people are aspiring for it. There is a market, but there is fierce competition. So you really need to know what you need to showcase as a product manager when landing into a role or an interview with product manager. Okay, moving on to the next slide, which everybody would like to know. You have been telling so much Gyan. Tell us something which helps us in our next round of applications. So here you are, how to crack PM interview. And I put it in 3 big buckets. 1 is around building resume. 2 is around preparing for interviews. And then the last part where the D-Day, actually interviewing. Let's talk about the first section. Clearly articulate the product that you worked in. So when you are building your resume, you need to articulate which product that you, which is the product that you worked on. And in my case, I didn't have a product, but then I was in a role where I was developing products. So I essentially included points that hinted in the direction or that aligned with the traits that a product manager should carry. Articulate the situation, action, and impact. You all know how do we write our resumes. But the most important thing is currently, if you are articulating a statement about your piece of work, you need to really understand what was your action, what was your action on that particular event or that particular statement that you are making, and what was the outcome or the impact. You need to highlight in your resume the portion of PM role that you might have done. So it was time around January till I got placed in XLRI, right? Before that, I was really thinking how to showcase what I've already done, because I believe that I was a product manager. I was a product developer. I was designing motorcycles, man. I was doing customer research. I was going to field, doing field studies. How does things break in the market? But coming from manufacturing background, I didn't know how to articulate it. Bucketizing your previous work into like aligning it to the traits that we talked about today would really go a far way in getting into product management roles. Not too many bullet points work, so don't clutter your resume. Just 4-5 key takeaways that should be enough to get you through the stage of preparing into interviews. And honestly, the best thing that worked for me is reviewing my resume. So I not only bumped my resume with my batchmates, I did it with the BM folks, I did it with HR folks, so that getting their insights, because that batch has essentially got an understanding what the current market is like, right? We might miss some of the things, but collaborating with them is really important. So I did have blessed with good friends in all the 3 courses across both the years. So had an opportunity to bounce off my resume. So get your resumes reviewed, do an iterative process, create a master resume, and bucketize your work, aligning it to the traits that we talked about. Now moving on to preparing for interviews. Cover letter. I don't know if it is always applicable, but it is a very important way to differentiate yourself. So do form a cover letter, create 2-3 versions of it. Again, get it vetted, talk to your peers, how they are doing it, and don't, one size does not fit all. Okay. You need to really know what a company is offering. It can be an overarching letter that you might have created for your earlier organization, but you need to tweak it to suit for the profile that you are appearing for, right? If you're appearing for ADP product management, you might want to talk about the traits that we are talking, right? Amazon would like to link it to, say, their 14 leadership principles, or say some other organization would like it to get those traits out of your cover letter. Apart from resume, cover letter is an important point where you can showcase what you've not already displayed in your resume. Brushing up your marketing strategy and finance fundamentals, quick rundown, and you need to know what exactly a balance sheet does, what is the revenue model, how does debit credit work. So of course, and marketing on the aspects of branding. You as a product manager, do you know what is the go-to-market strategy? How does one go to market? How does a new launch happen? So understanding those fundamentals. Big three questions are why PM, why you, and why ADP or any other organizations that you are appearing for, right? You might get questions around product design. So what is your favorite product? I have got this question in my product manager interviews. And this is one of the ways for the panel to understand how do you perceive a product, not as a user, but also your thinking as product manager. Do you have a sense of how does a product manager think? Guesstimate questions, of course, consulting case competitions help. And you all must be knowing this book called Case in Point, right? Go through it. It has a very good, robust framework around how to solve for guesstimate questions, how to solve for quick cases, how do you go back to the interviewer to ask the right questions, validate your assumptions. So everybody, my suggestion would be go to Case in Point, study that. You'll get a lot of benefit out of that book. And very important point is, like I did, take help from Google. You should all do. You don't know about a company, it's okay. We are not solving for global warming, and we are here to learn. Once you know the company that you are appearing for, try to gather as much information as possible about that company. What are their industry? What are their competitors? What is their revenue, profit, any recent acquisitions, mergers? Maybe if it is a startup, then who are their investors? How are they backed? So things like that. And once you are there, you need to also prepare for that last part of the interview, which we all miss. Do you have any questions for me? And then we all draw a blank. And we end up asking, can you please elaborate this role for me? Which is not a very good question, because already the JDs and everything have that information for you. So prepare some genuine questions that you might have for the panel to take away. And the D-Day now, interviewing. First of all, stay calm. I am not the best example because I also get nervous at times. But believe me, most of us have been there on the other side. We have all appeared for interviews, and the person who is taking the interview is also been a candidate somewhere. Before answering any question, you need to know what you are about to answer in your thought before it comes out in the form of an answer. So what really matters is, in a product management interview, is not how wordy or how jargonic your answer is, but how it's structured, how elementary, how critical your thought process is. You need to break down that question into elements that the panel should appreciate your thought process. You might not know everything. Again, you might not know everything in the world, but you need to break it down into pieces that it is consumable for the audience who are taking your interview. And essentially displaying those traits that we talked about, right? Curious, decision maker, taking ownership, empathizing with customers. Bring out your own stories in your journey so far around all these traits. Create a storybook. Create a storybook about your own life happenings. And believe me, it works. It has worked for me. It will work for you. Create those phenomenal stories. Weave in your thoughts. link it with the traits that we talked about today, and you will get through it. And you really need to demonstrate that you are passionate about this role, this company, and product management in general. Last slide, nothing changes. Everything here listed we've talked about. I'll not spend more time because I really want to spend some more time around taking a few questions again. Go to YouTube, Google it up. You can have so much knowledge around all of these elements that I've talked about on the left-hand side. If you're not getting a direct product management role, get into product adjacent roles. Project management, program management, product operations. These are the roles which will allow you to break through into the real product management world. Try to make internal moves once you've joined a company. There are so many opportunities which are happening day in and day out in an organization. Keep an eye for the opportunities and make internal moves. Try to demonstrate whatever you learned, again, align it to the product management traits and pitch yourself. Product managers need to be marketers. You need to market yourself. You need to know you are yourself a brand. You need to talk about yourself. And that is the way you will move into the product management discipline. Again, competition is fierce. Avenues are limited, but it's liked by everyone. So you need to stand out. Do consulting assignments, be it pro bono or paid or through case competitions. Involve yourself into crafting that product sense. Get into roles which are talking about digital transformation, business improvement, business transformation. These are the roles which I call product adjacent roles. They are very close to product, working in very close vicinity with the product. And that is the segue into how you can land up into a next job as a product manager, right? And obviously there are many free resources available and also paid resources. Go ahead, get into a few courses, Udemy, Khan Academy or Coursera, whatever it is, Data Camp. Go ahead, do certifications. I know Data Camp is free for all of us for this year, right? First year, we are still having it. We used to have it in XLRI. So yeah, with that being said, it's again a next logical step where Chandra will take us through about ADP and product management at ADP and the opportunities. So Chandra, sorry for this whole long monologue, but now handing it over to you.
Thank you, Ananya. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so I think in the very first question, it was pretty clear that ADP as a company, we build human capital management products and services. So our go-to-market is pretty much defined based on the size of the company. And let me take a step back. So when we talk about human capital management, it is everything which happens with an employee, right from hire to retire. So the employee comes and joins the organization. Before that, there is a recruitment process. Once the employee joins, there is payroll, there is HR, there is benefits administration, there is talent management, talent activation, and finally, when the employee leaves the organization, there is retirement and exit process and so on. So every touch point which the employee goes through is part of human capital management. Now, the needs for companies of different sizes could be very different across the journey. So let's take a small pizza store which has 10 employees and trying to sell pizzas. Probably what they really care about is just paying the 10 employees. They probably don't care about the talent management on how to upskill the employees. They probably don't care about the interviewing process, resume screening, and so on. Those are needs, probably not the most important needs. The important needs are how to run payroll, how to administer benefits in the most effective way, which takes minimum time for the person who is doing all of those. Let's move to the next segment, which is a mid-market segment, a company which is 500 people strong and looking to buy HCM software. Their needs are going to be very different from the small business. The mid-market company would care for talent management, would care for the growth of the employees, because tomorrow they are going to be 1,000-member company. Today they are 500. So they will grow across all areas. They will care for talent acquisition. However, they may not care to the extent that the number of people applying for the jobs and positions are going to be so huge that they need automation in talent acquisition capabilities, which will help them parse their resumes and so on. So the need is much more complex compared to the small business, but it may not be as complex as need for, let's say, Amazon or ADP. Let's move to the next segment, which is upmarket. Upmarket, as the name states, is any company which has more than 1,000 employees and could go to any number. So the most complex needs would fall into this segment. I just talked about Amazon. Amazon as a company at one given point in time issues 1 million paychecks. So they are paying 1 million employees at one given point in time. So imagine the complexity in terms of managing the payroll. Imagine the complexity in terms of moving money for 1 million employees. So that's upmarket. So the needs for them is very different from mid-market, and of course, very, very different from the small market. Now, the first three segments that I talked about could be in a particular geography. The moment I go beyond a geography and into multiple countries, the regulations and legal needs of the countries would change. Let's say running a payroll in India could be very different from running a payroll in the United States. Doing talent acquisition in Europe could be very different from India. Let's say the data privacy laws could be very different in Europe compared to India. So which means when the company starts growing beyond a particular geography, the needs get even more complex and even more spread out. And that's where the global market as the fourth segment comes into play. And we have got segments, we have got products across these segments. So we have got products like Run in the small market. We've got products like Workforce Now in the mid market. We have got products like Vantage in the up market. And we've got products like Global View in the global market. And we do have horizontal services which cut across these segments. Things like marketplace, things like tax related solutions, and so on. Moving to the next slide. Here's a quick snapshot of product and technology for ADP. We are one of the very first players when it comes to cloud. Some of the numbers out there, I think these numbers would have gone even higher since we last captured them. ADP Mobile is #1 in the business category in the Apple App Store. One of the highest used mobile application. We clocked 2.5 billion logins last year. This year, we are looking to surpass 3 billion. User experience, one of the three pillars for product managers is user experience. And that is one of the areas where we have been investing quite significantly in the recent past. Finally, with the amount of, given that we have got close to 1 million clients across all the segments that we talked about, the amount of data that we have is huge. And we use this data to provide insights to our customers. So things could be, where do I see the maximum probability of churn in my employee base? Which resume fits the best for this job description, and so on. All of that recommendation engine, all of that algorithm is coming based on our data. Moving to the next slide. Okay, product management at ADP is not very different from what Ananya covered for the last few slides. This starts off with product discovery, which is all about identifying the problem that I'm trying to solve for my product, to going to identifying the solution to that problem. And finally, when you have identified the problem and the solution, you build and deliver. That's where the product delivery and execution comes in. And after you have built it and delivered it, you need to take it to the market. That's when the go-to-market aspects come in, things like pricing, promotion, all the 4 Ps that you may have heard of in your marketing class. Right? I'm going to quickly breeze through the slides, moving to the next slide, which talks about the career progression for a product manager. We start with associate product manager and product manager. I think this is a ladder for ADP, but it is quite generic for most of the companies out there. Typical career for a product manager starts with associate product manager. The person moves on to become a senior product manager, more experienced, knows the game in terms of execution pretty well. Lead product manager on the IC track, manager product management on the people leadership track. The expectation with the lead product manager is they're able to own and drive an initiative or a capability end to end, which means everything involved: product discovery, delivery, go to market. All of those aspects are expected to be led by the product manager, as the title says. Principal PM, principal product manager, or a group product manager. Principal PM on the IC track, group product manager on the people leadership track. So on the people leadership track, starting with the manager product management, you start managing product managers. So there you are not only working as an individual product manager, you're also taking your team through this cycle of understanding the game of product management, all the way from execution to tactics to strategy. And finally, director and senior director of product management. It goes on to be VP of product management, chief product officer, and so on, depending on the kind of organization and where you lie in terms of hierarchy. Moving to the next slide, quick snapshot of what we do in ADP to learn and thrive in product management community. We are a pretty large community of product managers in ADP, more than 100 plus in India right now, and more than 300 globally. We have our internal product management guild where we try to learn and share from each other across the segments that you saw in the previous slides. We do get into external engagements with NASSCOM and product leadership track. And we do train our entry-level product managers as well as product managers in the middle level. So a quick run through of the slides. I know we have got 10 more minutes, so probably we'll take more questions now.
Thank you, Chandra. I will stop sharing so that we all have a screen where we can see each other while we are speaking. So
Right, Ananya. So first of all, I would like to take this opportunity and thank you on the behalf of the entire batch for the insightful and engaging session on what product management is and what does a PM do, especially for the last part as to how to prepare for that role. So thank you once again, both to you, Ananya and Chandra, for this wonderful session. Now I will hand over to my colleague Shilpita to take over the Q&A session.
Thanks, Avneet. Hello, Mr. Sharma and Mr. Nagaran. It was really such an insightful session for us. So quickly, we can take a few questions considering the time restraint that we have. Anyone who has any sort of questions can please raise your hand.
I see Imran has raised his hand probably.
Yeah. Imran, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Ananya, for the wonderful session. I love the way how your storytelling and how you presented it. So my question here is, if there are two products, and what are the key characteristics would you see to prioritize one of the product if you have two products in hand?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you, but just reiterating the question, it would be two products or two features in a product. Because two products, you might compare it from a market optics perspective, but while you are making products, right, they are broken down into features. So login screen can be a feature, getting social links can be a feature, hit like subscribe can be a feature. So while doing that, do you need me to explain how to prioritize it, or
Yes.
is it comparison between two products?
No, two features of a product, I meant to say.
Chandra sir.
So the question is, how do I prioritize between the two features? How do I choose, correct?
Right.
Okay. So I think it really depends. So there are a lot of frameworks available out there. But at the bottom line, it all depends on what is the benefit to your users, customer, and the company, and what is the cost involved in delivering the feature or the capability. You may hear frameworks like RISE, Kano model, and so on, right, in terms of prioritization. But at the end of it, you are building the product for your users, people who use the product, or you're building it for the buyers, people who are paying the dollars for the product, And at the end of the day, all of these need to culminate into something for the business or the company, right? So what's the benefit for these three? And what is the cost involved in building it? Based on that, you'll prioritize. Does it help, Imran?
Sure. Thanks.
Nishit, please go ahead with your question.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the insightful session. My question is that what are the key factors that we should be concerned about while developing the product? And when the product is going into a declining stage, what steps should a product manager take?
Okay. Ananya, you want to take that?
Sure, sir. I'll do that. Part one of the question is about it was the second part was, sorry, I lost audio in between. The second part was about catering to the declining phase of a product, right? The first
Yes,
part, if
yes.
you could repeat.
The
Nishit?
first part was about what factors one should be concerned about when developing a product.
Okay. So as much as fancy it may seem, you might get very little opportunity to actually work until unless you are doing it from the scratch in a startup. You might be actually getting into a place where a product exists and you need to do changes which are incremental to the growth of the product. So generally mid to large size organizations, they have products which are already somewhere in the maturity stage, and we as product managers join the different feature teams and deliver that work. The key aspects is, I would say, one, as I said earlier, right? Understanding what you are delivering. So you need to know if you are solving for the real problem or you are solving for the symptoms. When curing a disease, you do not cure for the symptoms that you see, right? You cure for the disease that is there. So understanding user pain point, making the right trade-offs in terms of costing. So I can share a very relevant example which happened to me recently. There can be an API or which has a response time of say 10 seconds. And now you want to bring it down to 3 seconds or 2 seconds or 1 millisecond, whatever it is. As soon as you put a button, it should get you a response. But everything in the world comes at a cost. Do you really need to live with what you have today at a 10-second mark and you are doing fair enough? Or you want to invest those additional dollars and make a decision to get that information faster for the user? So striking the right balance. Third would be understanding what technology is backing your product decisions. So you need to understand the technology aspect of the work that you are doing. So I would say these three things. And talking about the second half of the question, what to do when the product is in a declining phase? Two things: either pivot. So you need to pivot when your product is declining. You need to know the right reason why your product is declining, because it's a very fast moving world. Not all the products in its entire products in its entirety will decline, right? There would be a feature that is less engaged. There would be an element that is missing. You need to know what part of your product is facing competition or is not faring well against what is being delivered in the market. So that is the point where you need to learn from the market and pivot at a very fast pace. Learn and pivot, learn and pivot. That is the iteration that you need to carry on when the product is in a, say, declining phase. So I hope that answers. Chandra, do you want to add anything? Sorry.
No, I think you covered it. Nisha, that at the end of the day, if there is if the product is declining, it doesn't work in isolation, right? It is competing in the marketplace, and it is used and bought by the users and buyers, right? And there is a technology which is powering it. So as long as you remember the levers around it, so you need to certainly look at the market. Are there shifting trends in the market? Are the competitors making moves which we may not be? Is the technology on which the product is running into some sort of a challenge? Is there a change in the user behavior? Are the users moving from using desktop to more of mobile, right? So what's really triggering that? You need to ask the 5 whys, the famous framework, and get to the bottom of it.
Yash, I see your hand is raised. Shilpita, is it Yash or somebody else also? I see that.
Yeah, it is Yash. We can take this last question from Yash. Please go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Shilpita. Thanks, Ananya and Chandra, for this session. My question is that at the ideation stages, many ideas would be coming for the product. As you mentioned, it might not be possible to implement all the ideas at that point of time, but some very good ideas may come in the process, and which we would want to keep a track of and try to implement at a later point of time. So how do you do this idea management in your roles?
So I can take that, Ananya.
Sure, sir.
So you're right, Yash. I think ideas, probably there is no dearth of ideas, right? We'll continue to get ideas for the problems that we run into. Typically, what we try to do is we have something called as backlog, product backlog. Product backlog is a collection of all the ideas that you may have for your, let's say, short term, medium term, long term. And that's where roadmaps come in. So the way we try to manage our ideas is based on, there are multiple backlog management tools. But if you think of it, it is not, we've got fancy tools today, which try to help us manage our backlog and ideas, but you could manage your backlog in a spreadsheet as well. All you need to do is you need to actually have a good feel for what is important for you today. Like what might look like a good idea today may not be a great idea tomorrow, because things might have shifted. The competition might have increased significantly. The market might have shifted. The users might be looking at things very differently, right? So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, there are tools in place. Like in ADP, we use Jira quite a lot. It is a tool from Atlassian, one of the companies which is market leader in terms of those tools. But I don't think it's really a tools question. It's you can manage it in your spreadsheet as well, but you need to look at what idea to prioritize when.
Yes, thanks for answering that. However, in the backlog management tools, we would, what I understand is we would be entering those user stories or ideas which we are able to definitely map to the product map, which we are sure that we would be taking up at some point of time. But what about those things about which we are not sure, but they appear to be good? So can such ideas also find a place in the backlog?
I think if you pick any product manager and ask them what percentage of your backlog actually gets executed, probably the answer is not going to be more than 10-20%, right? Which means all the other things are just ideas at this point in time.
Okay, thanks. That answers.
Yes, I was about to say that when you talked about backlog, right? You have everything in the world parked in the backlog, and then again, you put on your sorting hat like we do in the Harry Potter, right? You sort that out and flush it out in the next release. That's what we do.
Prioritize and take it up.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Okay. Yes,
I think Imran, Shilpita, and Abhinita are giving me looks. We are on time.
No, not at all. It's not the matter, but just that we are scheduled for another classes and all.
I know.
So,
Imran already told me that you had a hard stop, but it was really engaging a session. It was really good talking to you all. Chandra and I are available on LinkedIn. We would be glad in case you have any follow-up questions. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to us on our mobile phones. I can share it with Imran. And any other avenue you want to reach out to us, you may write to us, you may call us, WhatsApp us, and we'll be glad to help you around with your journey in the next coming few months.
Yeah, thank you so much. So on the behalf of whole PGDM GM batch of XLRI, I would like to thank both the speakers for taking out time for this enriching talk. And the session was really, really informative and engaging, especially the polls that helped us in ice breaking it. That was great. I'm sure that post this session, students are now more aware of the different markets that ADP is catering to, the insights that were shared in a very unique way that actually helped us understand the nitty-gritties of product management role, the processes, and how we should make ourselves ready for the market. Lastly, we hope the relationship between ADP and XLRI flourishes and attains new heights. And thank you so much, Mr. Sharma and Mr. Nagaran, for being able to accommodate this session in your busy schedule. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shilpita. Thank you, team. I think, like you said, the relationship between XLR and ADP continues to flourish. So thank you so much for having us here today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
sir.
Have a great rest of your day. And please do reach out to us in any shape or form, and we'll be glad to assist you. Cheers and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.